Can you hear me now? Hello, hello, hello. Can somebody give me a thumbs up? Let me know if you hear me now. Sorry, Instagram. I know y'all hear me. Okay. You can hear me now? Lord, I was talking real good. I'm going to have to go back and just play the whole entire thing again. Okay. But once you have these 4 components intact, character is the thing that makes you attractive. It makes people want to be around you. It makes people want to talk to you. I have a person right now that it's very interesting to me. They have a great heart, but they're nasty. They're mean to people. How they talk to them, their disposition, it's horrible. And then when you try to say something to them, they think that is you. And so it's like, well, wait a minute. Something is wrong with this picture. Why? Because their character is not living up to their expectations of everyone else. You can't desire of me to be a certain type of way, but you yourself don't have the ability to show kindness in the same manner. And so once you have those 4 components, once you have the spiritual state, the mental state, the physical state, once you have the emotional state, and then you work on your character, you start to ask questions like, can I really submit? Women, it was a post on Facebook. I'm sorry, on Instagram. Ooh, it made me so mad. So it was a clip of this man and this woman. They were getting married and they were in the process of saying their vows. And the Bible, sorry, not the Bible. The pastor goes, the part where she's supposed to say, repeat after me, to obey. And so when he said, rich or for poor, sickness and in health, the death do you part, and the part where it goes obey, she stopped. She was like, we didn't rehearse that. And the pastor was like, yes, we did. I mean, this is the wedding. This is the wedding, day of. And she was like, I think we can skip that part. She was not willing to say that she would obey, because in 2023, people think submission is a curse word. I'm like, if you do it the biblical way, right? Yes, we are submitting, but it's not just the woman submitting, it's one to another. And the Bible says that your husband has to love you like Christ loved the church. And if I don't, and you got a problem with obeying somebody that is willing to forsake all for you, like, what are we really doing here? So I said what I said. And somebody was like, you sound real foolish talking about you gonna submit to somebody. I said, no. I said what I said, and that's what I believe. Submission is honorable in the sight of the Lord. Submission is a beautiful thing. Now, it's not my fault that you chose somebody that you're not willing to submit to. That's something you got to work out between you and God. You should have thought about that. But if you're going to marry this person, you're giving your life to someone. 2 are becoming one. What are we talking about? But it's this thing where, I just believe that I'm just very old-fashioned when it comes to certain things. Submission is one of them. The man being head of the house is another thing. It's just is what it is. Now, that being said, if you don't think they can be the head of the house, you shouldn't marry them. I mean, it's just that simple. And so, you have to begin to ask yourself those types of questions. Can I really submit to them? Am I selfish? That's another thing you have to ask yourself. Are you a selfish person? Because if you're a selfish person, you probably don't want to be married. Because with marriage, everything is about compromise, right? It's about, yes, you have your own identity, but you're going to be more selfless than you have the ability to be selfish. Because if not, it's going to cause drama in your situation. Another thing, are you a liar? We talking about character, y'all. And so if two has are becoming are coming together and they're trying to overcompensate in areas where they're good to overshadow the areas that they are not strong in, what do you think is going to happen? It's going to come to a head after a while. I remember I dated this guy and I thought he was great. Like he respected, you know, he treated me good and wined and dined me and all this other kind of stuff. And the Lord told me, he said, no, he is not the one. But I couldn't see it. Like I didn't understand. You know, sometimes we just, all the time, we should just obey God. But in this particular instance, I did not. I couldn't understand why God was telling me to leave this person alone. And so I did my own thing. And we're talking about character. As time went on, I started to see cracks in that foundation. Because the facade he was trying to put up about who he was in fact the total opposite. He was a liar, a womanizer. I mean, credit was jacked up. I mean, he was talking about buying me the world. I'm like, how you gonna buy me the world and your credit score 400? What are we doing here? Lied, said his credit score was 750. Just bad. I remember this was years ago. We went to look at houses. And so he had to do something that was in his budget. And he was like, I think I found the house. I think you're going to love it. It's, you know, it has some work that needs to be done. We walk in the back door. It's dead roaches all over the floor. I'm not lying. I'm talking about from carpet to carpet, nothing but dead roaches. They had just fumigated or something. I looked at him like, are you freaking kidding me? Get me out of here quick. Look, I'm itching right now thinking about it. I'm like, no, sir. This ain't it. And so those are the types. I mean, I'm you're laughing. But at the end of the day, a man is always going to reveal, a woman is always going to reveal who they are, the heart of who they truly are and what they believe. And so in this instance, he was not who he claimed to be. And after a while, he played his hand. And time reveals all things. And so another question you want to ask, are you insecure? I remember I dated this guy and, you know, I'm not a slouch. I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. God made me beautiful. I know that I am. But I know that it takes more than looks to walk this walk and live this life for Christ, right? So, you know, I take it with a grain of salt, but I know I'm not ugly. Well, he knew I wasn't ugly when he met me. So when I remember one time we went somewhere, we were traveling, and this, I mean, it was a bellhop. The bellhop guy was like 60, 70 years old. I'm not exaggerating. And the guy looks at me and he's like, wow, you know, you have a gorgeous lady. So the guy that I'm with gets upset. And so the 67-year-old man looks at him and says, you know what you have, right? That she's beautiful, right? He said, yeah, I know she's beautiful. He said, well, you can't get offended every time somebody looks at the menu, as long as she don't let them order it. That's what he said to him. In other words, dude, you're going to be fighting every day, all day, every day, if you get upset every time somebody looks in her direction. Like, and then he would get mad at me. And I'm like, I didn't do anything. So then I would feel like I got to just look straight ahead and not turn around. It was crazy. It was crazy. And so he was extremely insecure. If you are insecure, you are not about that life, because you're going to have people out here looking crazy. There was and just on a serious note, you have to be very careful in identifying these types of signs, because there was just a few days ago, I read I think it was in New York, where there's a young lady, she was engaged to be married, and he was acting a plumb fool, so she got rid of him, and she was dating this other gentleman. And so when she was going to work, the new gentleman that she was seeing took her to work. The ex-fiance got upset, found out that he was driving her to work. He goes up and shoots her in the head. Can you believe that? People are legit crazy. And so you have to be careful that you identify as well as acknowledge if those are the signs that either you possess or someone that you're with possess, because you don't want it to end badly for you. And we're praying for her family, because, you know, that's nobody wants to end that life to end that way. That was tragic. And so I'm circling back, and I'm gonna say this and then we're done. Two halves can't make a whole. You shouldn't get with someone to fill voids or make you feel better. Two halves don't make a whole. If you're constantly in relationships to fill voids, I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen. The moment that they walk out of your life, you're gonna be left empty. The moment that they walk away, you're gonna feel like your world has been pulled away, that the rug has been pulled from underneath you. Why? Because you are longing for a space, for someone to feel a space that truly only God can feel. Only God can fill that void. When I say feel, I'm talking FILL. Only God can fill that void that you have within you. But the moment that you try to force things to make it fit, I know people who stay in relationships simply because they don't like to be alone. They have not worked on their character. They have not worked on becoming whole. They don't realize that the reason why it's a revolving door is because they haven't really focused on the things that cause them to be that way. They lack self-esteem. They lack self-confidence. And until they get that right, they're going to always be appear to be needy. And let me tell you something. Needy people are exhausting. So people not going to want to be around you but for so long. They don't want to have nothing to do with it, and want nothing to do with you. And so you can't try to force something to fill a space that you're not willing to do the work in, because that's essentially what it is. You might say, I'm sad all the time, so I'm going to be with this person so that they can make me happy. Well, why don't you work on happiness for yourself? Because if you continue to try to focus on somebody else for happiness, guess what happens? The moment they do you wrong, you're going to feel like the world was over and life is over. And so, please, I admonish you, I'm done here. The 4 components of wholeness. Y'all remember them? Type them in there if you remember them. The first one is physical. Your physical state. How you take care of yourself. We are what we eat. We are what we put in our temples. Number 2, our emotional state. How we feel inwardly. If we're all over the place in our emotions, and we are unbalanced in our thought process, those are the things we have to work on. The mental component. What are you saying to yourself? What are you thinking about? Is your mind renewed by the word of God? Is your mind renewed daily? Are you redirecting your thought process when it goes askew? And then number 4, your spiritual state, which is your relationship with God and your journey towards your purpose. And then after we do all those 4 things, and we've identified that we've worked on our 4 components of wholeness, last but certainly not least, we're going to work on our character, because character is what makes you attractive. I love you guys with the love of the Lord. Continue to pray for me as I pray for you. I apologize for those who are on Facebook. I did not realize that the first couple of minutes, well, the first like 10 minutes, I was on mute the entire time. So I will make sure that I rebroadcast this and I share the replay so that you all will be able to hear the nuggets that I share at the beginning of the live. So I love you guys with the love of the Lord. Continue to pray for me as I pray for you. Until next time, have an amazing evening.